inspired to do some good work as we always want to do. I'm blessed once again to have with me my very good friend, Pastor Kenneth Flowers, who is the leader of the Greater New Mount Moriah Baptist Church in Detroit and has been a close friend of mine nearly 26 years now. We both came to town about the same time and were brought together through a mutual friend, and have had the privilege of working together all of these years. But really, this past year, have had so many good conversations. And Pastor reached out to me after George Floyd's murder, and last spring. I'll never forget that phone call, and I happened to be out of town at the moment, and he asked me to come and help at his church and to speak and to share the pain. And Rabbi Daniel Schwartz was able to go, and I was thrilled that we could be there together. And we've had a number of conversations throughout this entire year. And I thought, I wanted everyone to have a chance to hear from Pastor today, because after the guilty verdict of Derek Chauvin and justice seemingly being served finally, and the reality of what we've learned this week and that weight being lifted, I wanted my friend to teach us, because one of the conversations he and I have been having is what's next, because we're not there yet by any means. We've got a long way to go. But first, good morning to my friend.
Good morning, Boker Tov. Good morning to all of you, my brothers and sisters. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be here today. And Rabbi Mike has been my dear friend and brother, as he stated, for about 26 years now. And I thank and praise God for his genuineness, his honesty, his integrity. And Shir Shalom, you're blessed to have had him for 26 years. And if it's the Lord's will, I will be with you all to help celebrate in October or September, whenever the celebration will be, I will be there. And but I want to say this, that Rabbi Mike has been someone who is not afraid to speak out against injustice. And on that day when he could not come, he sent Rabbi Dan, and Rabbi Daniel Schwartz did a great job as well. And we become friends as well. When I think about what's happening in the verdict, first of all, when the initial reaction hit, it took me back initially to 1992, when I lived in Los Angeles, California, and the Rodney King verdicts came. And I was in my office and I was sitting in my chair, and when they said not guilty, I leaped to my feet in 1992. And not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. And I fell back to my seat, and I told the police officer that was standing there with me, I said, they're going to burn this town down. That was in 1992. Fast forward to 2021, I was sitting at my table, and when they said guilty, I was like, yes. They said guilty. I'm like, hallelujah. They said guilty, and I said, thank you, Jesus. It was a different reaction. And while there was a sense of joy and excitement, I also still had a sense of sorrow that I wish we didn't even have to be here, because the guilty verdicts, while they are great, still would not bring George Floyd back from the dead. And it still does not correct all of the injustices that have occurred, not only at Derek Chauvin's hand, but at the hands of other police. Because if you think about it, there was a written police report by Derek Chauvin that stated that George Floyd had a medical emergency while in custody and died. And that's what he put in the report. And that's what the other officers were willing to sign on to. Had it not been for that 17-year-old girl videotaping, we would never have known the truth. So the question becomes now, how many more lies have Derek Chauvin told that has caused other people to either be arrested and falsely arrested and accused, or how many other folk has he assaulted and lied for? So we have to look at the total picture. I think there's some things going forward, Rabbi Mike, that we have to look at. And one thing about AIPAC, those who know that I've been involved in AIPAC for years, AIPAC has taught me how to lobby Congress. It's taught me how to lobby Congress, how to go to Capitol Hill, meet with your congressional leaders, talk to them, lobby for your cause. I've lobbied for Israel, I've lobbied for various things for my Jewish brothers and sisters. Now we must come together And I think we need to lobby Congress, because in addition to the verdict, we now must have some new laws. The George Floyd Justice in Policing Act must become law. The John Lewis Voting Rights Bill must become law, as well as HR 1 must become law.
Mm-hmm.
These are three bills, substantial, tangible steps that we can take to try to begin that whole process. The George Floyd and Justice and Policing Act, it's a federal law that would cause policemen to have accountability around the country. There'll be several federal laws that would trump, no pun intended, the local laws, and that would cause these police officers to be held accountable for their actions. Qualified immunity would be there on the table, where officers would know that if I do something wrong, I can be sued, I can be held accountable. So I think that's the first step. We got to start lobbying Congress and get people riled up to know that what happened on Tuesday was a great thing, but it's just one thing. How many more African Americans have not received justice? And right after that, you have the young guy shot in North the very next day. Antoine Brown, shot and killed, shot in the back, mind you. 7 officers have been relieved of their duties, put on leave. 3 have resigned or retired. That was the very next day after the police, after the Derek Chauvin verdict. And so, and then the very same day, while the verdict was going on, the 16-year-old girl shot in Columbus, wielding a knife. Now, I mean, that's a different situation because she had a knife. But the fact of the matter is that you still have too many situations. The lieutenant in the Army stopped by the police in Virginia, accosted. You have the 12-year-old boy, Toledo in Chicago, shot down. You have time and time and time again. So I think one of the things we have to do, Mike, and I'll stop for a moment, is we have to start now lobbying Congress to pass some laws to get them on the books that will hold police accountable. We need police. We're not trying to defund the police. We don't want to defund the police, because if somebody breaks in my house, I'm calling the police. If I get in trouble, I'm calling the police. Even though I run the risk of being Black, I'm still calling the police. So we need the police, but we got to make sure that the police are held accountable.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying we're not trying to defund the police. The semantics, I understand where the movement has taken that on and talked about that, but I think it sort of takes our attention away from what needs to happen, and it's sort of, people don't understand what they're trying to, what that represents. Because I agree, we need police to change though, and that's the reality. Because I know if the police show up at my door and I jump my car and drive away and drive through them, they're not going to open fire and start shooting at me in Bloomfield Hills. I really doubt that's going to happen. But if I were a Black man, look what happens, right? And so what that represents, and so that's the concern there, and the reality of our world. And you're right, every single day since the verdict, someone's been killed. A Black person has been killed, and where's the humanity here? And we're looking at, why this is occurring. So look, I appreciate what you're saying about lobbying Congress and the importance of that, and getting these laws on the books to mandate and make sure that we're living better and holding people accountable. I mean, look, on Tuesday, I'm pins and needles waiting for that verdict. I felt so nervous, and I remember the verdict came back so quickly, and I saw on my phone an alert that in 45 minutes they're going to announce it. It's like already, which we all believe would be a good sign at that point. But still, oh my God! And then pulling in front of the TV and just worried what was going to occur, right? And still not feeling confident that justice would come out, right? That would be the reality.
Well, one of the things I would say, Mike, also is that in addition to the laws, there must be training. We have to change the culture, the mindset. I think, I told you I lived in LA in 1991, 1992, during the Rodney King beating, the Rodney King verdict. After Rodney King's, those 4 white officers were found not guilty, the Warren Christopher Commission was established. Mayor Bradley sent in, established former Secretary of State Warren Christopher to serve as the chair of this commission. And the Christopher Commission looked at policing in Los Angeles and came up with some tangible suggestions in terms of community policing, in terms of policing living in the neighborhoods. It talked about interacting. It gave some tangible steps on how to retrain police officers. What's happening now is that you have a mindset and a culture where police officers feel that because they carry a badge or carry a gun and wear a badge, that they are the judge, jury, and executioner. And when it comes to Black folk or poor people or minorities or whomever, they have this mindset that you don't matter, I'm the one that's in charge. If you remember, if you look at the history of policing, policing began as slave catchers to go out and catch slaves. So that's where policing began. So the mentality has been Black people are the criminals. We got to go out and bring these Black folk in and put them back in slavery. That same mentality has occurred throughout the society and throughout policing. And so we have to similarly change the culture so people will recognize and understand that it's not about it, right? It's the new Jim Crow. We have to understand that it is not about those things. It's about treating people with humanity, treating people fairly, treating people justly. Of course, if you're a criminal, we want you to be convicted. But the problem is that according to the law, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. I looked at a video the other day, you may have seen it on CNN, of a Black man with a white friend. He had a white female friend, not boyfriend, they worked together. He had the video of the dash cam when he was stopped by the police. The officer got out of her car for a traffic stop, a routine traffic stop. She got out of her car with her gun drawn. No, there was no reason to draw the gun. It's a routine traffic stop. She gets out of her car with her gun drawn and goes, and then they pull him out of the car, put him in the back seat of the car, only to find out that they had the wrong man. They thought he was somebody else. Fast forward, his friend talks about her account where she was arrested, or she was at a routine traffic stop. A white police officer pulls her over, white woman. She says she's nervous, she's shaking and stuff. She can't find her insurance. The officer tells her, "Oh, take your time. I'm gonna wait to the car and wait. Take as much time as you need to find your stuff." She goes back to the car, sits down, while this white woman is looking for her ID, her insurance registration. And then she discovers, she said, wait a minute. She thought about George Floyd because I think it's happening in Minnesota. And she said, if I were Black, there's no way they will walk back to their car, sit down. And so she talks about this. And so then the two of them dialogue, the Black guy and the white girl. And he told her, he said, I'm so glad, since you're my friend, that you did not have to go through what I went through. He said, however, I'm still angry and upset that I did not get treated the way you get treated. And that's the reality. We can talk about it all day long, but until there's some tangible changes in the mindset, in the culture, that because the color of my skin is darker than yours, that's no reason for you to be treating me differently than you treat someone else.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I think part of that, look, it can come from us, the relationships and role modeling and bringing our congregations together more and more. Yeah. And we started talking about this, last June, but because of the pandemic, everyone's been reticent and we've been over Zoomed and things. I'm coming to church on Sunday, and yeah, I'm going to be with you, and in a healthy way. And I believe maybe starting the summer, we can do some of that dialoguing and understanding more together. But we're examples and role modeling and open-minded people. It's the idea for police and for leadership to understand that. And that's what my daughter, God love her, she's the one who gave me this book, says, Dad, you have to read this, right? And another recommendation on our book list here, because it is, and we've heard that now since the election and some of the, state houses trying to pass laws and having passed laws like in Georgia, which are a new Jim Crow and are absurd and disgusting.
And really, right here in Michigan, I was in Lansing last Monday, to protest at the state capitol with the NAACP. Rabbi Asher was there, the Coalition Black. We came together and we stood there on the steps of the Capitol. Rabbi Asher spoke, I spoke, Reverend Anthony spoke, different folks spoke. Here in Michigan, we didn't forget to Georgia and Texas, but right in Michigan, they are trying to change voting laws here in Michigan that will stop Black folk from voting or make it more difficult for Black folk to vote right here in Michigan. We have to change these laws. And it's sad because until that happens, as you stated, we will continue to live in this flux. And let me just say about Sunday service. Sunday service is an outdoor service. It's outdoors. It's supposed to be 60 something degrees. We move the time. Normally we meet at 10 o'clock. We're meeting it at 12 noon because it'll be a little warmer. So any members of Shir Shalom, you're welcome to come. It's an outdoor setting. You can wear your mask. We will be outside, not inside. You're welcome to come with Rabbi Mike on this coming Sunday. And then during the summer months, when it's much warmer, we can have more outdoor services. You can definitely come to Greater New Mount Moriah.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you,
when Rabbi Mike will be preaching, by the way.
well, the reason it's a special service. First of all, I always love listening to Pastor preach. That's always a awesome experience, and he's a wonderful teacher. But Pastor's being honored on his 26th anniversary of coming to Detroit and taking over the reins of the church and his leadership there. And so he's asked me to be a part of the service and to help honor him. And so that's why I'll be there on this particular Sunday. And so I'm thrilled. And thank you for inviting our people. And I'm sure some will come and enjoy that too. But look, it's such a blessing for me to be able to speak and honor you and our friendship. And look, your work in the Jewish community is tremendous. You have been a great friend and leader to me, and to, like you've mentioned, AIPAC. You know how many times we've been there on Capitol steps appropriately, doing the right thing, and talking to Congressman and Senator Peters and Brenda Law, you know, and talking about what really matters to us. And you've been to Israel, I think, almost as many times I've been to Israel.
Not 9 times, working on the 10th. We're supposed to go last year, and the pandemic hit. So maybe my 10th will be with you.
We got to make that happen. We have to. I promised you today wouldn't be too long because I know you've got something to run to be with your mom, and so I want to let you have that opportunity. But thank you. It means a lot that you're helping us understand and appreciate even more so. It's a priority. Things that you've articulated today that we need to keep doing and working on, because we have a long way to go. I believe we have grown this past year. Our eyes have been opened. We have recognized systemic racism that does exist, and have been a little more candid about that, rather than saying, oh, it's not me, right? And recognizing how prevalent it is in our country and even in the Jewish world, and how much work we have to continue doing. And with your partnership, I believe, and your leadership, we'll be able to do this. And I believe, because we have children who are handing us books like this and reminding us of what matters, we're going to get there. We're going to make our world a better place. So thank you. Appreciate it greatly. And I look forward to being in person with you on Sunday morning, or Sunday at noon. Temple Shir Shalom friends, our first in-person service is going to be May 14th, that Friday night service at 6:30. It's our high school graduation, where we're honoring our high school seniors. And we're going to limit the size of that day, doing it outdoors as well, as we sort of experiment and figure this out together. And we're going to continue on that way starting in June too. So, hey, have a good, safe week, everyone. And everyone, you take care. Pastor, really, thank you so much.
Rabbi Mike, I love you, my friend and my brother. I want to let you know that I thank God for you. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. I've been doubly vaccinated as well, got all my shots. So I'm looking forward to giving you a holy hug on Sunday, and looking forward to seeing you later the year. And let me just say, as we sign off, Temple Shir Shalom, as I stated earlier, you have a jewel in having Rabbi Mike. I remember when he first came here, and you are blessed. And we need more rabbis like him, who is able to speak truth to power, who's able to stand up for truth, justice, equality, fight against racism, fight against anti-Semitism, stand together and not be afraid to cross those barriers that divide us, and have a true friend and brother in the African-American community. So I love you, Rabbi Mike. I thank God for you, and Shir Shalom. I love you, and the Lord bless and keep you all. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you, my friend. I love you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. See you on Sunday,
Take
okay?
care. Right.
You be
God
good.
bless. Bye bye.
Take care.